Heading into week number 9, the Decorah Vikings will be hosting the Waverly Show Rock Go Hawks this Friday night. Head coach Mike Tangen joining us, and going back to last week, trip down to Cedar Rapids Xavier. It wasn't your night, and it wasn't your night against probably the best team you've seen all season. Is that an oversimplification or a true statement?
Yeah, Cedar Rapids Xavier's really good. They're kind of all that's advertised. They're a really solid football team. They're coached really well. I actually thought we played pretty good, even closer than what the score was. We were inside the red zone a few times and just didn't come out with stuff. And that's just, kids not, we just didn't execute super well. Maybe a play call or two, you'd wish you had back, whether it's offense or defense. But there's still a lot of good things about that game, and I think we learned a lot, and we'll just keep moving forward.
And as you very well know, just because you lose doesn't mean you don't do everything wrong. When you win, it doesn't mean you do everything right. What were some of those things that you took away from last Friday night that made you feel good moving forward?
Well, I think our offensive defensive lines improved a ton over the course of the year, so I was really pleased with that. I thought our defensive end play was outstanding. Um, so I think, just overall from my point of view, I think that we're getting much better up front, and that's going to help us as we move forward and play really anybody. With our guys up front playing well, and now it's just making sure that we're executing consistently everywhere else and doing your job and trusting the defense or trusting the offense but I think there's a lot of positives moving forward here.
And what were the main lessons you got to learn from last Friday night?
Yeah, I think communication's a big one. We talked about that yesterday in our meeting, and especially on the defensive side, they did a lot of shifts and motions and got us out of position defensively, and so that's just a lack of communication there. And so that's going to be a big point of emphasis for us. They blocked a field goal, so that's another thing that we need to clean up. And we've had issues with that in the past. So, putting guys in the right spots or moving a guy here and there. So those were kind of the biggest takeaways. But I still thought we played physical. I still thought that we didn't give up. We played the whole game, and so there's a lot of good, and then there's always things to clean up.
How do you go about getting the guys to communicate better?
Yeah, I think it's really just about putting them in situations to make sure that they do that in practice, and just force that. Try to do some situational things in practice. We kind of script everything offensively and defensively, so it's kind of our job as the offense and defensive coordinators to kind of put us in situations that we might be in a game, and then what are the calls that we're going to make in the game, so that we've kind of rehearsed that already. So a little bit of us and a little bit of those guys just communicating, and I think that we'll be just fine.
And here we are in week number 9 already, but still a lot to play for your
Yeah.
squad. Still a lot of the season goals on the docket. I'd imagine that's the number one positive heading into this week, right?
Oh yeah, and I still, we still control our destiny here, and that loss isn't, doesn't, I mean, it wasn't super fun, but it's we still got a lot of things to play for, and obviously, with the team that's coming to town in Waverly and all the history and how much fun it is playing them, and it's a rivalry game, and so there's a lot that comes with that. It should be a good crowd. There's a lot on the table there, so it should be a fun environment on Friday for sure.
And this year's edition of the Go Hawks. So what do you like about them on film?
Yeah, they're a good team. They're always really physical. They fly around really well. They're a little bit younger group, but they play with a lot of passion. They always do. I think they're very sound on offense, and then they play an aggressive style on defense. And they have a good kicking game. I just think that they're all around just a good team. It'll be a good test for us.
All right, Coach. Hopefully, you guys can get the job done this week, and we can have another conversation next week. Keep you guys healthy. We wish you best of luck.
Thanks, Darren. Appreciate it.
Mike Tangen, Decora's head coach, the Vikings and the Go Hawks for the playoff berth coming up on Friday night.